Hello, everyone, and welcome to our special Google Hangout on Air. I'm Sunny Galt with the New Mommy Media Network, and we produce audio podcasts for new and expecting parents. And today we have a special hangout to talk about the essential items that parents need if you have a newborn, or perhaps you're pregnant right now and you're wondering, what do I put on my baby registry? What are some of the essential items that we think you guys need based on our own personal experience of being in this industry, and then also just being parents ourselves? And we can certainly give some recommendations at the end, too, of items that maybe you don't have to have on your list, but, helped us in the past. So before we dive into that conversation, though, we're going to talk with Pam Nagata of the Parent Connection and Scripps Health. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about the Parent Connection and how you can get involved. Hi, Pam.
Hi, Sunny. Thank you so much. And we're excited to have Diana here today from Babies R Us. They have a wonderful registry for parents to go to when you're expecting. And then after you have your baby, come and check us out at the Parent Connection, www.sandiegoparent.com. We're sponsored by Scripps Health, and we offer parenting classes, neighborhood playgroups, and we have fun outings for you to enjoy. A lot of parents come to us for the family swap meet. That's always a popular one. We offer it 3 times a year. Membership to the Parent Connection is $20 a year, and you can join online. So join us after you have your baby. Thank you, Sunny.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've been to some of those events, and they're a lot of fun. It's a great way to connect with other parents. So let's go ahead and let's meet our expert. And from Babies R Us, this is Diana Gayton. She's a marketing specialist with the Babies R Us stores here in the San Diego area. She's also a mom of 2. And I believe Diana just came back from maternity leave. So all of this is very fresh in her mind. So hi, Diana. Welcome to our Hangout.
Hi, Sunny. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you too. All right, so let's dive into our list here and just share some of our experience with parents about what to look for when it comes to some of these main items that they may be putting on a baby registry, or perhaps they're just picking up at the store. So let's talk about car seats. What are some of the big things? Parents need car seats. Obviously, it's the law, right? And you need that even, before, you take your babies home from the hospital if you're delivering in a hospital. So, what would you recommend? What should parents keep in mind when it comes to purchasing a car seat?
When you are looking for a car seat, I always recommend parents that I see in the store to actually start with the stroller, because sometimes the stroller is going to actually dictate which car seats or infant car seats are compatible with it. But with that being said, as far as car seats, there are a lot of different ways you can go. You can start with the infant car seat, which is the car seat that removes from the car seat base in the car and onto a stroller, or you can go straight into a convertible car seat, which you will actually be able to utilize longer, but it's not able to move in between the stroller and car seat.
And the car seats that go into the strollers, are those called travel systems, or they've got a term for that, right?
They're actually called infant car seats, but you do have an option of buying a travel system where it's bundled, all the same print, car seat base and stroller into one price.
Okay, so for someone that's looking perhaps to save a little bit of money or kind of group things together like that, that could be an option. What about considering, how many kids you're going to have? And I guess this kind of gets into the stroller talk, which was the next point on my list. After we purchase our car seats, we got to think about strollers. And I know as a brand new parent, I was thinking, okay, how many kids am I going to have? Because instead of going for that single stroller, maybe I should opt for a double stroller or something else. So what recommendations do you have when it comes to purchasing a stroller, even though I know that could tie into the infant car seat?
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes when we are getting ready to build our families, we already have in mind that, within a 2 or 3 year span, we'll have a newborn and then we'll have our second born. So you can, if that's something that's in your mind already, I would definitely suggest to check out some of the brands that will grow into a double stroller. There are a couple options out there. Britax Be Ready is one of them, where it actually is a single stroller. You have the option of buying a adapter for a second seat, and it will take an infant car seat. The City Select by Baby Jogger is another brand. That one can actually take 2 car seats. So if you're fortunate enough to be blessed with twins, that's one that you can pick off right off the bat. A little bit more budget-friendly brand is the Contours, and that one is by Colcraft. And so that's another one where you can do infant and toddler or 2-infant car seats. So there's a couple of options on there. But now that second option, the Contours, is a double stroller. It is going to be longer, and it's always going to have that extra length to it, unlike the Baby Jogger City Select or the Britex Be Ready.
And you also have to think about how you're going to be using these strollers, right? Because, you know, some moms, we have jogging strollers out there that moms can purchase as well. So, you know, is it important, do you think, for parents to have multiple types of strollers, you know, if they're going to be out and about quite a bit, or what's your recommendation there?
I think it all comes down to your lifestyle. I would definitely consider your lifestyle choices. I think that's going to help dictate what type of stroller you want. I am a very city dwelling mom, and even though I am very active, I don't do the trails or off-roading with my stroller or anything. So something that was like a Be Ready, a Britex Be Safe brand of stroller was very convenient for me. I drive a compact car, so that's something to keep in mind. How much room do you have in your trunk? So the Britex Be Safe was really compact. It was 3 wheels, easy to maneuver. I still could take it on trails, but it doesn't have that shock absorption. So I would say if you are enjoying going to the beach, you want to go on the sand, you want to go into the trails, then that would be a good time to consider the jogging strollers.
Okay. All right. So let's move on a little bit. And then there is a lot of information out there. If you guys are interested in more specific information about car seats and strollers, we could probably talk about this forever, but I do want to get through and go through some of the other items on our list. So let's talk about cribs a little bit. What recommendations do you have for parents out there that are looking for a crib for their baby?
So again, there's going to be about 2 or 3 different style of cribs. You have the traditional, which will just be a crib and a toddler bed. And then you have the For Life ones, which will be crib, toddler bed, and full size. In my case, again, starting my family, I knew I would have more than one. So with my son, I just bought the traditional crib. It's a little bit less expensive because it doesn't have the fancy, what would become the headboard. It's a little bit less fancy. Super functional. So then when my son, became a toddler, was ready to move into his toddler or twin size bed, I could reuse the crib for my daughter. But with the collections that offer you the option of being a full size crib, mattress down the line, you can have it for life. I mean, you have all the pieces you want: nightstands, dressers, hutches. So really just kind of depends on what you think you'll use it for. Do you want it to grow with that baby from now until they go off to college? Or do you think you would want to reuse it for second or third baby?
Okay, great. And I guess a lot of cribs too tie into, you could buy multiple furniture pieces. Would you say, that are there any other pieces of furniture that you would say are really important to get off the bat? Or are we talking about more just personal preference here?
I think it's going to come down to personal preference and storage solutions at home. So if you have, big enough room, maybe the closet is nice and big, you could get away without having to do a dresser. But if your closet is a little bit smaller and you need that storage solution, you might definitely need the dresser off the bat, which was my case.
And I know a lot of these nursery sets have like a changing area. How important do you think that is? Obviously, we have to change diapers. That's just, part of having a baby, right? How important is it to have like a separate station like that? And if you didn't have that, what are some other options?
In my experience, having it for my first son was really nice because everything was situated in one location. I had, all the diaper rash creams, the diapers, the wipes, extra clothing, the diaper pail was right there. So it was really nice to just have it all together. But if you don't have the room or you don't have the budget to do that, you could always just pick up a on-the-go diaper caddy, which will have room for a couple of different of the basics and essentials for diaper changing, and a waterproof cover. They usually come in different sizes, so that would allow you to throw it either on the floor or on the bed. That way, if there is an accident, it's not going to get on your either carpet or bedding, and you can quickly wash it. So definitely a couple ways to go on that one too. Just kind of comes down again to your space. I would say the changing station is really nice, but fact of the matter is we don't always have the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad you mentioned the caddy because that was actually a purchase that I made at Babies R Us, and that has really saved us, especially if you have at least a 2-story home and you don't want to have to go like up and down to get all that kind of stuff. We keep our diaper caddy downstairs, and our changing area, our main changing area is upstairs. And so it really does help a lot to have, a couple places to store all that stuff, because when you got to change a diaper, you got to change a diaper. It doesn't really matter. So, okay, great. Okay, so we talked a little bit about cribs. Let's talk about bedding and blankets and swaddles and all that kind of stuff. Let's just start with bedding first. What's your recommendation? Because we see a lot of really cute stuff in the stores. And at least, I don't know, my maternal instinct is, to want to buy a whole, set of something. And then what I've found is that you don't always use everything. So what's your recommendation there?
So I think it's going to come down to personal preference. I think one of the things you really absolutely need to have on hand is 2 waterproof covers for the crib mattress and 2 sheets. So actually I brought some samples, and this was a veteran parent gave me this tip when I was getting ready for my babies, and they said double it up. So, have your waterproof cover with a sheet and then another waterproof cover with another sheet. So in the middle of the night, if they have a blowout or they're sick and they have an accident, you can just take one layer off and the bed is already made. So we do carry the waterproof covers in a 2-pack, sheets in a 2-pack as well. With that being said, now that the decor options are changing a lot at Babies R Us, so you no longer have to buy a set to get your crib skirt. You can definitely, we now offer crib skirts sold separately and different prints of sheets that you can kind of mix and match to go with the decor that you want. So we definitely have modernized that department a lot.
And we didn't really talk about this when we talked about the cribs, but you brought up mattresses, and that's a really good point. If you have a crib, you're going to have a mattress for your crib. And I know that some mattresses, are more like fabric-y, and then there's, I don't know if that's a term, but I'm going to pretend it's a term, fabric-y. And then, you have other ones that might have more of a protective, like you were talking about, layer on it for, I don't know if it's necessarily waterproof. Is there anything else parents need to know really about mattresses? Because they can really vary as far as price is concerned.
They really can. So with an infant mattress, you always want that firmness to help keeping the baby from rolling over and battling the SIDS. So we offer mattresses that start off as a really soft one, because remember, toddler beds and crib mattresses, they take the same mattress. So just keep that in mind when you're going to shop for a mattress. You want one that has the minimum coil count or a foam mattress. So you definitely want something sturdy. I think our lowest coil count is recommended to be 150 coils in the mattress. And those usually you can find them starting right around $80.
So the blanket part of it. And I found that as a new parent, people love, to give blankets as a gift. They usually come in like different, gift sets and stuff like that. And they're really cute. But babies really, in the beginning, you're not supposed to, for newborns, to have blankets in the crib. So, what is your recommendation when it comes to using blankets? So
the American Academy of Pediatrics does recommend not to have any loose items in the crib as an infant. That includes blankets. So the swaddling when they're first newborns doesn't pose as big of a risk because they can't quite break out of them. So you have a concern for swaddling, but we also carry swaddles that have Velcro in them. So it really cuts down on the steps that you have to do to get that taco effect for the baby. Tons of options. My particular favorite ones are muslin blankets. So I brought a couple of options. You have cotton ones and you have bamboo ones. These are my absolute favorite. I still use them, and my toddler is 2.5. They're extra large. You can use them for nursing, which I actually really like. I just tie a knot and throw it over because it's so big. I use it to drape it over the car seat, over the stroller if the kids are napping. But for that swaddle, especially as they start getting a little bit older and might break out of the Velcro ones, this one would give you the extra power to wrap it around a couple of times to keep their hands in so they don't startle themselves when they're napping.
So baby carriers, there's a lot of different brands out there and, a lot of different styles to choose from and stuff like that. I know Babies R Us carries baby carriers as well. So what's your general recommendation if moms and dads want to wear their babies? How do you find the one that's a good fit for you and your family?
I love baby carriers, and I don't know how I would do my outings with that one, chasing after my 2.5-year-old with my 4-month-old. So yes, we are actually very fortunate in San Diego because we have such a large baby wearing community that there's actually groups and meetups that are designed specifically to help you find the best solution for you and your family. We do offer a couple of options. The baby Catan is very similar to the Moby, and this one is a very good choice if you have a newborn because there's no abrasive fabrics to help keep your newborn closed for that skin to skin or even to breastfeed. Moby is good too, just sometimes moms can get turned off by the fact that it's such a long piece of fabric. And even though once you learn how to use it, it's very simple and there's really good tutorials online, it can be overwhelming. We also have the Ergo Baby, which is very well known in the community. Actually, just in general, Ergo Baby is really well known. This one happens to be a traditional one where the baby can only face you or you can use it as a back carry. But now they have their 360 model, which will help babies face forward when you're doing a front carry, but tons of options. I definitely suggest to have one on hand. Even when you're going to crowded places, if you just have the one baby, it's nice to not have to get through the crowds with the strollers. So just wearing your baby keeps them closed, keeps them from getting overwhelmed. They can nap right on you. So it's very, very convenient.
All right, so let's talk about breast pumps for moms who want to express their milk for their babies. Perhaps they're going back to work soon. And so what's your recommendation when it comes to breast pumps? Because I know there's a lot of different companies out there that make them.
There are a lot of different brands. So the main thing is you have to be mindful of how often you're going to pump. So if you're going to be going back to work and you need to pump quickly, you're probably going to have to pay the higher price for like a Medela, for example, which will express more milk in less amount of time. If you're staying at home, maybe working part-time, or you just want to go on a date night, other brands, for example, like the Lancino, are at a lower price point. Takes a little bit longer to get the same amount of milk or quantity of milk, but it definitely cuts down, definitely affordable options. So just keep that in mind and always check with your insurance companies. A lot of moms now, even though that the Affordable Health Care Act is covering breast pumps, a lot of moms still are surprised by the fact that they might even go out and start looking. Call your insurance company and see what they cover. If there's an option to upgrade, maybe you're not satisfied with the options that they offer, ask them if you can upgrade and just pay the difference for a better quality pump if that's what you're needing.
All right, so continuing on our nursing talk here, let's talk about nursing pillows. There's, rocking chairs or nursing chairs too. So what recommendations do you have? Let's start with the pillow stuff first. What do you think about that?
There's a lot of moms that are starting to have back problems because of nursing, and that's because we don't support our bodies right, which actually happened to me. I was having some back pain. And that was one of the things that they told me was you need to support that arm when you're holding the baby. But I would definitely think that the most important thing is that you're comfortable and your spine is supported as well as your arms.
And the nice thing too about a lot of those pillows is you can actually use them in different ways. Like when you're practicing tummy time with your baby, or you're trying to get them to sit up a little later. Obviously it's a little bit past the newborn stage, but like from the beginning, you're supposed to be doing tummy time. And a lot of times you can, kind of prop your baby up in those pillows safely so that it just gives them a little bit of extra support. So it's not just for breastfeeding, but obviously that is really helpful as well. And then the nursing chairs, or perhaps just rocking chairs in general, we see this, and this kind of goes back to the furniture talk that we had a little bit earlier. But what would you recommend as far as looking for, some sort of rocking chair for your room or nursing chair?
A lot of families now are liking the fabric options because after you finish using them as a nursing chair, they can actually incorporate into your living room furniture. So that's very popular right now. But babies love motion, so keep that in mind. Gliding, it's going to help you soothe the baby when, they're uncomfortable or crying. So I would definitely say there's so many options, so many brands, so many different price points. But at least in my experience, it's definitely been helpful. So I would recommend you have one.
All right. So let's talk about baby bottles and other feeding type of supplies. If you're in the beginning, you don't really need to have a lot of forks and spoons and stuff like that. You're talking about your newborn, right? That they're not going to be needing that for a little bit. So let's talk, a little bit more perhaps on the type of bottles, because every baby is different and, you don't really know what your baby is going to want, right? So how does a mom or dad, pursue that?
So that's correct. So when you are creating your registry, I always encourage moms to put maybe 2 or 3 different types of bottles, maybe even 4 or 5, the same with pacifiers. Unfortunately, like they say, babies don't come with manuals, and you're never going to know. With my first son, I tried 1 bottle, born free. He took that and I didn't have to worry about it. With my daughter, I went through 5 bottles and then she finally took the Como. So you're never going to know. It's nice to have them on hand. So when you are trying to encourage the baby and to introduce a bottle, you have them there already and you're not having to stress about going to the store or getting the baby ready to go on that outing. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully you luck out and the first bottle you try is the one that the baby will take. A lot of companies are mindful that moms want to breastfeed. A lot of moms are now working, so they try to make the design mimic a breast as closely as possible so the baby can comfortably move in between breastfeeding and bottle feeding. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If you're wanting to breastfeed and bottle feed, look for those bottles that have that wide base.
Yeah, absolutely. So a breastfeeding mom, if you're planning to pump, like you're still going to need bottles. So this isn't necessarily a formula conversation. It's about, what do you do with your express breast milk? And I had a similar situation, Diana, with my, so I've got 2 older boys and then my twins, and my boys preferred 1 bottle. In fact, I think it was probably on sale or something. I got a bunch of bottles and thank goodness they took it. It was not a problem. And then with my twins, I thought, oh, I had such luck with my first 2 babies. I'm sure the next 2 are going to want the same bottle, right? And absolutely not. I actually made the worst mistake of like stocking up on that 1 bottle that my boys preferred. And my girls wouldn't even touch it. And I kind of like you, I had to go through the whole process of, well, what bottles will they take? And we eventually found one. But yeah, every baby, prefers a different type of bottle. And a lot of times I have heard of moms just, buying, just one of a bunch of different brands just to test it at first. So I know it's tempting to go for the big packs of bottles to save money, but until you figure out what your baby wants, it may be a better option to kind of go with those single bottles till you figure it out.
Always at least have a single of a couple different brands. So again, if your baby takes that one and you have the big set, you lucked out, great. You have them on hand, return everything else. But if not, at least you can, start the process of trying to figure out which one your baby's going to take.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about baby well-being as far as health and wellness are concerned. And, when we walk in the store, we see a lot of baby shampoos and, first aid kits, all that kind of stuff. So let's start with the bath time stuff. What's your recommendation? Because I know there's a bunch of products out there for what babies actually need in the beginning.
It's really going to be a personal preference. I believe most pediatricians actually recommend try to just use water, especially until the umbilical cord falls off, do the sponge bathing. I always like to use something really gentle on baby's skin. And we have a ton of options. I mean, everything from baby Shea. This is one of my personal favorites. It's called Baby Mantra. It's very like just a couple of ingredients, and it actually has some essential oil lavender in there. Baby Ganix is another brand that's very affordable. They're plant-based, and this pump is actually really nice because when you pump it, it already is lathered in your hands. So you just, go over it with the baby. You don't have to spend the time trying to keep the baby sitting in the bathtub and trying to make that foam up and lather. So a lot of options, but I would definitely suggest looking for something that's gentle on baby's skin, especially in those first couple of months where their skin is so sensitive.
What about baby baths? I have been through a couple different baths having 4 kids. I think the first one we got was more of kind of like a hard tub kind of situation. And what I found is it was difficult to store that, and then I think the second one I got was more of a collapsible, and certain areas you could kind of blow up a little bit. But then my concern with that was that, well, what if it collapses and my baby's in it? So what are the options out there, and what should parents keep in mind if they want to purchase a a little bath for their baby?
There are so many options. I mean, you have, like you said, the real basic hard tub with the sling for an infant, all the way into baby spas that like bubble from the bottom. Biggest thing is don't stress over the bathtub. Pick something that you like. You'll find a way to make it work. And just keep in mind that the babies grow up so fast and they go through the different stages so quickly that you might find outgrowing that item sooner than you thought. So I just went with the simple basic one and splurged on other things like the baby carrier.
I mentioned like those first aid kits. You see little baby brushes and things for their nails. I mean, you know, is that something that's really important in the beginning? Do you find people purchasing that a lot?
I definitely suggest to keep one on hand as far as the safety kits. Now, we're talking about two different ones. We're talking about the ones that have baby essentials, hair combs, and that type of stuff. The nail clippers, if your kids are anything like mine, they're already born with little claws and you have to trim them right away before they get their little face. So I definitely say have them on hand. Eventually, at some point, you're going to need them. If you are uncomfortable when they're so little to actually clip them, you can just do nail files, or you can actually bite them off because the cartilage is so soft at that point. But at some point, you will need that nail clipper. So just have it on hand. Never know how baby's head of hair is going to come in. But again, nice to have, you know, especially if you're maybe battling some cradle cap and you need something to kind of help brush it away. But something that I found and a lot of moms really, really like is the nose Frida. Other than the bulb, hospital bulb that they give you for, you know, sucking out the nose, I haven't found any other bulbs on the market that are effective in removing any of that, you know, mucousy or congestion. So these are actually really good because you can actually really alleviate your baby by sucking out a lot of, you know, what the baby is causing them not to breathe. And they actually, it sounds a little gross, I know, but when your baby is not feeling well, you'll do anything to make them feel better. It actually has a, like a, what's it called? So this is what it looks like. It actually has a little filter so that nothing is getting into your mouth, but this is very effective in making baby feel better and being able to breathe.
The other thing I was thinking about is things to prevent diaper rash or to protect your baby against diaper rash, ointments and things of that sort. What's your recommendation?
Aquaphor is a brand that we sell a lot. It's a barrier that helps prevent rashes. But then if you've already had a rash develop, just look something that has a high zinc oxide concentration. I really like the red butt paste that was actually recommended to the pediatrician when we were battling a yeast infection. But definitely don't wait until the problem is there to go out to the store. You're going to stress yourself out. So thermometers, you know, stuff for diaper rashes, have that stuff on hand at a location you know exactly where it's going to be. So if you're at midnight and this rash develops, or, you know, the baby's all of a sudden running a fever, you're not having to go out to purchase or having to wait till the morning to try to go out and purchase these items. So always have them on hand. It's just really helpful.
Yeah, be proactive whenever you can as a parent. Be proactive. It'll make things a lot easier. All right, and baby clothing. This is another one of those things I feel like, in addition to baby blankets, that people love to give. Like you know, people love little tiny clothes for some reason, right? So you're probably going to get a lot of this in your, you know, baby shower and things of that sort. But what has worked for you personally? I know this is very much a personal preference kind of thing, but with your kids, you know, are there recommendations that you would make of clothing, especially for that newborn time period, that just made life a little bit easier for you?
One of the things that we often get is moms coming in or dads coming in because the mittens are falling off. Tube socks are not going to fall off. So this was my go-to with my infants. Nightgowns make it really easy for the nighttime diaper changes, just really accessible. And side snap shirts for when they're newborns and the umbilical cords haven't quite fallen off. So keep that in mind. Their umbilical cord is going to be there. You want something soft against the baby's skin. So just do really basics until that has fallen off. And then you can go into the cutesy little outfits.
Anything else, Diana? Did we pretty much hit everything up here? Is there anything else you would add?
You know, if you guys are feeling overwhelmed, first-time parents, Babies R Us is here to help you. You know, we have really well trained team members. We even have an option online if you go to babiesrus.com/reserve, when you can make an appointment to come in to have one-on-one time with somebody that is going to answer the questions you may have, whether it's gear or just product-related questions in general.
Yeah. And one of the things I love about Babies R Us is that there are so many options to choose from, but you're absolutely right. As a brand new parent, I tell this story quite a bit. Actually, I hadn't even had my first baby yet. I would walk in and I'd feel so overwhelmed because there's so much to choose from. And before you kind of put everything into practice, you don't really know what everything is, right? And I tell this story of walking in, before my baby was born, adding stuff to my registry, not knowing really what I was doing, and then coming back even a couple weeks after my first baby was born and going, oh, I know what that is now. I know what that is now. I know what that is now. So it would really be helpful, to have someone that kind of, guided you through that, a little bit more, because it can be very overwhelming. But hopefully we broke things down a little bit for you guys today, so you at least know the essentials of what at least Diana and I think are some of the essentials that have really helped us, and some basics that, if you're creating a baby registry, you're going to want to make sure that some of those items get on there, as well as some of the items we recommended. Feel free to check those out at Babies R Us. And so we really do appreciate you guys watching today. Keep in mind, we do have the San Diego Parent Connection. So if you're based here in the San Diego area and you want to get connected with other parents, it's a great resource for you. You can check them out at sandiegoparent.com. And also, please check out our podcast at newmommymedia.com. So all of our shows are listed there. They're absolutely free to listen to. We have episodes on so many different topics, you guys. I think over 600 episodes are available on our website, and we have free apps as well. A lot of the stuff we talked about today, we've done episodes on. Like when we were talking about the whole nose Frida and, getting all that out of your baby when they're sick, we've done episodes on that. Tons. We have a whole show that's dedicated to breastfeeding and pumping for your baby. So a lot of great information there for brand new parents. So again, everyone, thanks so much for watching. Diana, thanks for being with us today. And we'll see you guys on the next Hangout.